What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock, and we're back to start going through a new Bad Religion album, and it is new in sort of both senses of the term. This is their most recent album, their 17th studio album. It came out in 2019. It's called Age of Unreason. I love the Roman sculpture thrown onto the sort of leather upholstery of a 1970s car. I do very much enjoy the contrast of that. We're going to listen to a tune that starts the album. I mentioned from this point on, when it comes to the other Bad Religion albums I haven't touched yet, like basically Descent of Man, True North, Age of Unreason, and the two Atlantic albums I haven't touched yet, which I've recently replaced. We're talking New America and No Substance. I'm going to start going through those as well, but for now I'm going to kind of focus on the three most recent studio albums, and then as I mentioned in December we'll get to their Christmas album. But yeah, the first song on this is called Chaos From Within. Now I'll admit, this album's only been out for two and a half years or so, and I don't know the songs nearly as well as any of the other Bad Religion, even Bad Religion like True North and Descent of Man, which I don't know as well as the albums in the few years before that, like New Maps to Hell and Empire Strikes First. Which, in turn, I don't know those quite as well as 90s Bad Religion, which I don't know quite as well as 80s Bad Religion, and so on. So, the lyrical analyses from this album are going to be a little lighter, just because I haven't had as much time to think about the songs. What I remember from this one, it's a bit opaque. It's another Bad Religion song that's sort of, allegorical, and, it's sort of speaking in broad strokes about, anthropology and human history. What I do remember is I think it's essentially making the case. It's another song where it sort of speaks about human evolution and sort of that crucial transition from, our ape-like ancestors who in many ways lived like, apes, arboreal existence and sort of, pack sort of group behavior and so on. Into like pre-modern humans in a sort of cultural or like historical sense, still prehistory, but anatomically modern and cognitively modern humans. And it's, I think there's a line that like when our ancestor fell from the arbor, or like, came down from the trees, the fear started to set in. And I think what the song is getting at is that like our consciousness, our like human thought, which we're increasingly learning as we study neuroscience, not just of humans but of other mammals and other living creatures. We discover that human thought is maybe not as anomalous and exceptional as thought maybe during the 20th century. We're learning more and more that there are other animals capable of not only like acquiring and using language, but like symbolic behavior and understanding like symbols represent something else other than what they are. We know birds and crows, or like ravens in particular, have a great deal of intelligence. They use tools and so on. So again, it's interesting, like as I think about some of these songs about human thought and how it may distinguish us from our more animal-like ancestors. But again, we are animals. We're mammals and primates, and if we are those things, then we are certainly animals. But again, I think the song is making the case that when we transition to like prehistorical but modern humans, again anatomically and cognitively, penchants for territoriality, xenophobia, hostility to outsiders, fear and paranoia, suspicious thinking, superstitious thinking even more so, these sort of cognitive traits began to be hallmarks of humanity. And so, even if in some ways we've come to live in a much more advanced and convenient state than our early, like, hominid ancestors, we also are saddled with this, like, cognitive and psycho-emotional baggage, which leads us to behave in a much changed, modern, industrial, sort of global human society in ways that are fundamentally problematic, but it's based on our nature. Our inherited evolutionary nature as it relates to our brains relative to our biological sort of existence. So again, maybe there's more going on here. There probably is, but just in the handful of listens that I've had for this song since I got this album, that's sort of what I picked up on. It's another time where they start an album with a rip-roaring song, which you think about it. 2019, that's 39 years after they got started, roughly 4 decades after they got started, and they start the album with a kick-ass, like, tribute to their melodic hardcore heritage that they've had for 40 years. So the idea that after 40 years, they've slowed down or they've turned alternative or they mellowed out, it's like, no, they still play rippin' punk rock and they're still talking about interesting and, to my mind, profound concepts. So let's get to it. This is Bad Religion. Oh, I did forget to show sort of the inside shots of the guys. I do have to mention, and I know there'll be some people who will talk about this, but yeah, Greg Hetson was still in the group at this point, but is no longer in the group. Or what am I saying? Not Greg Hetson. He hasn't been in the group for a while. What am I saying? It's Brian Baker. That's right. It was Brian Baker. Greg Hetson. He's not in Bad Religion, is he? Now I'm tripping out. I'm like thinking that. But I was talking about Brian Baker. But basically, Greg Hetson was in Bad Religion. When was he in Bad Religion? Back in the day, and then 2013 he stopped touring with them. Bottom line, I guess Dinkich came in and replaced him, but I was thinking of Brian Baker. Brian Baker has since left the group, and I think there's a bit of controversy about it, but I'm not really going to get into that. I'll just say that at this point they were a 6-piece. I think they're down to a 5-piece now, and as many people will know, Mr. Brett, one of the founding members, he only does studio material with them, which is to say he helps write the songs and records the album versions. But I believe when they go on like national and international tours, especially, he doesn't go along. I think he only plays live with them when they're in like the LA area. So, any case, let's get it. This is Chaos from Within from the 2019 album Age of Unreason. Love that harmony. Oh, I love the way they extended that, and you could tell it was going to be one of those dramatic stop finishes, which I do love. A brilliant opening tune. Again, the 17th studio album, 39 years after they got started, and it's fantastic. It's everything that I love about Bad Religion. So, excited to go through this, not only because, again, I think it carries on the hallmarks and the sort of the sound that they've crafted over the years, but also because I don't know it as well as most of the previous albums. Pretty much, I know this one less than any other Bad Religion album, so it'll be exciting to go through it. And again, not only my lyrical analyses not definitive or authoritative in any case, even for a song from like Suffer, which I've been listening to for the longest of all Bad Religion. But yeah, especially with a song from more recent times, do let me know if you have a different take. Let me know if you have a different interpretation, or at least like a different angle on the interpretation. Always interested to hear what people think about the lyrics of Bad Religion. But yeah, let me know what you think of the tune. Other than that, I will see you next time. Peace.